It's your boy Light back at it with another YouTube video, and yeah, today we're doing Spider-Man Miles Morales story review. I actually have a few videos planned for this. I want to do a video showcasing the differences between this game and the other game, but yeah, this is strictly for the story review. Definitely a good game. I really enjoyed it. Definitely shorter than the other Spider-Man game. This roughly took me about maybe like 6 hours to complete. But yeah, I was more experienced with this game than the other game because like I remembered how to like web sling. I knew how to web sling really fast and stuff. So yeah, that. It definitely depends on your game level. Personally, I think of myself a little bit of as like pretty good at these games, like the Spider-Man game, because yeah, I played the other game. I think I 100% completed the other game as well. So yeah, I still have to do a review on that game story mode. I'm just trying to figure out a way to do it. But yeah, this is a little bit easier though. So yeah, I'm not gonna explain through everything, but I'll definitely talk about the newer stuff. Um, what was definitely interesting was the way we. I can't remember if we saw Miles get bitten by a spider in the last game, but this game really starts off on a high note as you're fighting Rhino, and then we realize he has some like kind of electricity power. I'm not sure if he has that in the comics. He probably does, but I personally I don't really read Miles Morales comics just because I haven't really been able to see some, but because he's a newer character to the Marvel comics. But yeah, we see he has like electricity powers kind of, and he can like he's able to like destroy Rhino in like 2 minutes easily. Honestly, I was expecting at the start of the game to maybe see um, Spider-Man die. To be honest with you, it was kind of interesting there. I thought because I was he was like on the ground and he was like, "Run, Miles," and then Miles is like, "No, I'm not leaving you." And then they he gets his electricity powers and punches Rhino out. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. Then we see Roxxon. I definitely thought Roxxon. I kind of knew something bad was maybe gonna happen in pertaining to them. Just because the way the other game was with the Osborn people, or no, Sable or whatever it was. Yeah, I believe it was Sable. So yeah, I was just like, I can't handle them. But yeah, it ends up being Spider-Man actually leaves, and then he's now the Spider-Man of the city, and we see him involved. He has very good character development. He basically goes from being some kid who just like, oh, the other Spider-Man is so better than me, and basically lacking confidence in terms of the Spider-Man ways. Yeah, we also see he has a friend named Genki. I think his last name is Lee, so his name's Genki Lee. He's more of like a guy in the chair, like how he plays a similar role as Ned plays to Peter inside the MCU. Um, so yeah, he's definitely a very cool character. I was surprised not to see Yuri Watanabe in this game. She wasn't in it at all. Same with like any police at all. To be honest, you saw the character, the police, but they never said anything to you, or they said like one or two things, like background chatter. They didn't speak or anything really to you. Um, but yeah, this game is definitely really interesting. In terms also with the Prowler. The Prowler is definitely a cool character. And yeah, if we go more into character development of Miles, then we see when he's not that confident, he turns into a confidence and he actually redos his suit to make it as the one you see in the picture right now, which is really cool. I really like the suit, it looks really cool. Um, and yeah, very cool. As I said before, we saw Rhino and then we see Roxxon. And yeah, I was a little bit surprised that we didn't see anyone kind of die that was really important to Miles. Like, for example, in the other Spider-Man game, we saw Aunt May die at the end, and obviously Uncle Ben is dead. Obviously, so Yeah, I guess you could technically count his dad as dying, but I kind of wanted to see maybe like the Prowler, perhaps, or maybe like Peter, or I don't know. I don't want to say his mom, but I don't think it should have been his mom. I thought maybe one of those two would be definitely cooler. Um, yeah, but like I said, Peter, Peter Parker went to somewhere else, so that was the reasoning for that. Um, yeah, now we'll talk about the villain. The villain was definitely really cool. The Tinkerer was a well done villain, or Roxxon, I would say, slash Rhino as well, because you see him after in the Prowler. Um, at first I was like, oh, I didn't understand who they were fighting at first. Then I pieced it together, and then I realized it was the Tinkerer, and I was just like, oh crap, I can't. I remember that name, and I remember she ends up being some kind of a good guy after a while. But then I was kind of expecting that until afterwards. She's hell bent on getting revenge for her brother who died from Roxxon because they are just mad and crazy. Um, then we see Simon Kurger, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and he's like the head of Roxxon or whatever, or at least his division. And yeah, he's creating he's like creating task force and stuff. And yeah, that was definitely interesting. We see Miles and the Tinkerer definitely are fighting it out all the time, and they're fighting, and he's trying to stop a bomb from going off and destroying Harlem. Um, because he even said it himself, not much people care about Harlem really. Um, so he makes it proven to he's gonna try and protect it. But yeah, I found that pretty interesting. I mean, the sacrifice at the end is the Tinker ends up he takes too much of the electricity in, and he has to let go, but it'll like kill everyone in capacity. So the Tinkerer literally lifts him up and and she has like some super shoes or whatever, and she goes into space, and then Miles Morales like kind of explodes, but he's alive still. But yeah, then she dies basically. So I found that really interesting. Because she kind of redeemed herself in the end, and then obviously Simon Krieger went to jail because the Prowler, also known as Aaron Davis, um, basically just gave him up. And yeah, I found that pretty interesting as well, because Aaron Davis actually knew who Miles was. Because if you didn't know, part of the game, he's like a subway driver or whatever, and there's hints to him being the Prowler. Obviously, I knew that he was the Prowler, and most people do. But yeah, he was curious on who the Prowler was, and then he realizes who this was, and yeah, that happens, and the Prowler is actually secretly working for Roxxon, and basically gave him up, and then they're fighting, and then yeah, and then he ends up saving the day afterwards because he starts to be kind of like a good guyish person in the end, which is really cool. I definitely didn't know how that was gonna end, but he ends up being in jail because of his crimes, but he'll probably get out by the next game. Um, and then in the end, we actually see, I guess plans for a sequel either to this game or the other game, where we see basically Harry Osborn in a tank or whatever of water, and Norman Osborn wants him out. And there's also actually Kirk Connors, also known as the Lizard, out there. So I thought that was definitely interesting as well because it sets up well for a sequel, for either this game or the next game. But I'm not going to talk too much about what I want to see in the sequel because I actually want to plan that out for another video. But yeah, this is my review. But I would probably give this game maybe like a 9 out of 10, just because the game's really well done. But I felt like the story mode was a little short, or some parts were ran on for a little bit. I would have loved to see maybe like the Vulture or somebody like another iconic Spider-Man villain would have been much better because yeah, I definitely thought it was interesting. But other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you guys have played this game and what you thought of it. I'm curious to see what you guys think. But other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.